Krishna Day of bizgrowthnews.com, and I'm just here in Dublin with Aaron Downs of creativedevelopment.ie. And Aaron, you were just telling me about this fantastic program that you've set up recently for people who have found themselves unemployed in the Dublin area. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, thanks, Krishna. I suppose the idea came about when a couple of friends of mine found themselves out of work, made redundant, or as some people are calling it, totally sacked, back in November. The guys had spent a lot of time in very senior positions and had worked hard at their careers. When they went about trying to find a resource that could help them back into the workplace, recruitment agencies and FOSS were there, but not necessarily offering all that they wanted. So I decided to get people together on a Friday morning for 2 hours, and bring together people from a similar situation, people that had experienced redundancy, experienced unemployment, and were coming from either a managerial or professional, or it doesn't really matter what background they're coming from. If they want to get together with a group of people that are in that situation, this is what it's all about. So I set up the Dublin Job Club, and I initially set it up when I was in the employment of a training consultancy in Dublin, and we would meet every Friday, and we would spend time working on the very practical things that you need to get yourself back out there in the workplace, or work out what it is that you now want to do, because unemployment can be a big opportunity, and if you can see it that way, who knows what might come from it. So the way we run the meeting each week is we set out what we want to get out of the 2 hours, and a very clear outcome, so that we're not sitting around, as I mentioned there, smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee and so on. From that, outcome for each person and for the group, we spend a bit of time on an open share. So what you've been up to, who you've been talking to, what job leads you've heard about, who's in your network that could be employing, that an IT person in the group could chat to, or HR person, or sales. So people share their network. So it's taking LinkedIn into a very it's taking it into a personal situation where you've people sharing their leads and their contacts and opening up their ideas. Through that, lots of stuff came out of it. How to make money going out doing mystery shopping, walking dogs, all those free activities that you don't get to do when you're in work, such as going to galleries, going to exhibitions, going to libraries. Actually enjoying the bit of time that you now have. We would then move from there into real. I suppose the nuts and bolts of the meeting is about giving us the tools and techniques to get back out there. So in a lot of cases it was a lot of discussion, people sharing their experiences, sharing what's going on, trying to get an understanding of where they're at and where they want to get to. Through that, some people realize I don't want to go back working full time. I prefer to do part time and spend the rest of the time with my kids. And because they discussed it, they found that much quicker than they would sitting at home on their own.
Aaron, I really liked when you were sharing with me some really practical things that you guys do in the rest of that time as well, such as, you were saying you looked at the CVs and you gave people practical help. Tell us a little about what people might expect if they come along to the meeting.
Okay. I suppose the first and starting point, Krishna, is that if you have become redundant or unemployed, your CV is the most important document. It's crucial. Getting that right and making sure that when it goes in amongst the other 3 million, God only knows how many CVs are landing on recruiters or employers' desks, that is the one that's sticking out on top. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. We had 2 people in the group recently who had both been to the same outplacement service. Their CVs were identical. And the fact that they were in the same room together, they were able to see that, okay, I don't stand out. I've got great experience, I've got this, that and the other. And it was just run-of-the-mill stuff on the page. What we do each Friday is we put them through what I call the red pen treatment. So you bring your CV and you share it amongst the other people that are in the room, and we will, don't be afraid to take a little bit of a beating here, but we will give you where the grammar mistakes are. We will give you where you haven't given yourself the best, the best idea of who you are and what experience you actually have. So at the end of the experience, you will have a very solid 1-page or 2-page document that's shouting out who you are and what you're all about, and getting you into. Hudson Recruitment recently said that 92% of CVs go in the bin. So getting yourself into that 8%. The other things that we've done is I've managed a friend of mine as an image consultant, and she's come in and she's looked and she spent time watching what people were doing. She's looked at their skin colour, their eyes, and given them, here's the colour shirt you should be wearing, here's the colour blouse you should be wearing, here's the little accessory that you should add that will add real character to who you are and show a good sense of what you're all about. I've had Yvonne Farrell from Peak Achievement, who did some great work around interviewing techniques and the types of questions to ask, and we always have that, at the end of an interview, have you any questions for us? And in most cases we might say, I think you've answered everything. Whereas we came up with 20, 30 different questions that you could have prepared, in advance to ask at the end of the interview. And if 15 of those have already been covered, you've still got 5 to ask.
And tell us about how people can come along. Is this a free initiative? Do they have to make a contribution every week?
This is a free initiative. Originally, when we were in the premises in Rockgar, there was a small charge to cover teas and coffees. If we go to a place where there's tea, coffee to be made available, you buy it yourself. But there's no charge whatsoever. It is a matter of giving your time, and like with any network, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. If people want to find out a little bit of information about it, I have set up a blog. I will openly admit I'm not the greatest writer, so please bear with if there are grammar mistakes and so on. But the blog is www.dublinjobclub.blogspot.com. I had, up until the 1st of May, been doing a post every day, but my laptop went back to that person I borrowed it from, and Dell were late delivering my new. It has arrived, so I'll be back blogging from tonight onwards. And what I've done there is I've put up some little articles. One of the things that I did mention earlier, one of the things I do every week is what I call a 15-minute learning slot, and it's 15 minutes looking at something very, very different. So I've showed some presentations from TED. I've done some exercises around working out what it is that you really, really want. So some deep thinking exercises. And we've done some stuff. There's a technique from NLP called walking with X and Y, where we got into the garden and did some breathing, got the posture right, got a state of mind, a physiology, and that ultimately leads to high performance. And believe it or not, somebody before an interview spent 5 minutes doing that before they walked in the door, and said they had a completely different experience during the interview. So much fresher, much more oxygen in their body, and a real, high level of performance in the interview. So that's, ultimately what we're all about. The blog again is dublinjobclub.blogspot.com. So go in there, join as a follower, add some comments. It'd be great to see some people come on board.
And that's fantastic, because the other thing I should say to people is that Aaron's a very talented development trainer. Although you wouldn't call yourself a trainer, really help organisations get to that peak potential, particularly in terms of the areas of creativity, innovation, and also in terms of the whole area of sales. And so what I think is fantastic is that you're bringing all of that to that group as well. So if you're in a situation, or somebody who unfortunately is in a position who've actually lost their jobs and they're in the Dublin area, go over to dublinjobclub.blogspot.com, and if you're looking for creativity and innovation and peak potential performance for your organisation, make sure you check out Aaron over at creativedevelopment.ie. This is Krishna Day of bizgrowthnews.com, and I'm thrilled to have had this opportunity to catch up with you, Aaron, because I think there's so many people who I think will benefit from that, and it's just the power of the network and collaboration, isn't it?
That's it. At the end of the day, I'm reading Ken Robinson's book at the moment, and when he talks about growth, it's seeing how things connect together. And if you get even 2 minds into a room, is better than 1 mind sitting at home waiting for your email to come in from the recruitment agency. So come and visit us. We go to the National Gallery, we go to Digital Hub, we'll go to a Greasy Spoon coffee shop if that's your cup of tea. So we'll every Friday 10 to 12. The blog will show you where we're at each week.
Oh, and I should probably also say, if you've got a venue, maybe it's a coffee shop, maybe it's a restaurant, maybe it's a hotel, and you've got a space there that could actually handle 20 people, or maybe as it's growing, 30 or even more, again, get in contact with Aaron. It's a way to showcase your site to those people who also have big networks, who may be looking to book a venue or something at your hotel or your restaurant. Thanks again, Aaron.
Great, thank you.